Welcome to CW 1.8. So now that we've done these two in class, we're going to finish up the video or the lecture with these two questions here. So the first one is we're going to actually graph everything. So today we're going to put everything together. So step one, you can write this down, is to find the zeros, multiplicities, and the y-intercept. So let's do that. I can look at that equation. I can see my zeros are negative 1/2, 3. The multiplicities are going to be 1 and 2. Again, you look at the exponents here and here. And I can see my y-intercept. Just plug in 0 for x, and they're going to get 1 times negative 3 squared. So that's going to be 9. There's our y-intercept. So that's step one. Step two, we will state the degree and max turning points. So I can see here, this is a 1x, or there's only 2x here in terms of like the power, 2x to the first power. The next part would make x squared. So put these together, our degree is 3, which means the max turning point would be 2 to subtract 1. And the final step is going to be your leading term. And leading term, look at our old work right here. Just multiply these and you get 2x to the third. Now you put all that together to get end behavior. This is a positive coefficient, any odd power, which means end behavior is going to be down, then up. So those are all the steps we practiced in our last class. Today we put all together and we graph it. So we can make our XY axis like this. And the key is where to start. Now what I want to do for you is highlight this. So I know it's kind of counterintuitive, but this is actually where you want to start. You always start with your end behavior. Meaning when I graph it, I'm just going to put my arrows down like this. Meaning I know that's what happens at the ends. Now from there, you're going to use your zeros and your y-intercept. So I'll just mark negative 1/2. Doesn't have to be perfectly to scale, let's just estimate. Let's say negative 1/2 is there, let's say 3 is here. And then let's say 9 is up here somewhere. Now we're going to actually graph it. And this is why I put your end behavior down first, is because you can start from your arrow right here on the left. We're approaching negative 1/2. And we know we have to hit it. And then the key is, well, what happens when you hit it? And that's how we have multiplicity right here. Remember for multiplicity, when it's odd, you're going to cross. When it's even like this, you're going to touch or bounce. So that means I'm going to cross through negative 1/2. And I'm going to hit 9. Try to make this a little bit cleaner. And then I have to approach 3. And notice how, again, this is 2. No, I didn't finish that. So we need to touch. So we're going to touch 3 and come back up. And right there is a rough sketch. So again, we're not trying to make this perfectly to scale. We're just trying to get a general idea of what this graph looks like. That's what we're trying to accomplish in Algebra 2B. When you get to pre-calc and calc, you start getting into more details of this graph. But for now, what we have right here is just a generic idea of what it should look like. So let's try to do it more fluently here. Step 1, our 0 should be 0, 4, negative 1. Multiplicity, again, look at the powers. You see 2, 1, and 1 here. And then if you want, you can write underneath what happens. So I know this will touch because it's even, and cross cross because it's two odds. And the y-end, be careful here. If I plug in 0 to this whole expression, take a look at this. 0 squared times negative 4 times 1. 0 times anything is 0, which means anytime you have like an x at the front like that, the y-intercept should always be 0. That's very important. Step 2, we'll go to the degree. So imagine you multiply all this out. That's x squared times x times x. The degree would be 4, which means our max turning points would be 3. And our final step, leading term, I can see is x to the 4th, which means our end behavior is going to be up and up. So now we sketch. And remember what I said earlier, we start here. So again, write that down because I really got to hammer that into your head. Start with your end behavior. So I'm going to put my arrows up. Say put that here and here. Our zeros are 0, 4, and -1. And now we just draw. So I can see I'll start on the left side. I'm going to approach -1, and I can see I cross. So I'm going to cross through. And then at the 0 right here, notice how it's a touch. So we're just going to bounce off of 0. And then we got to cross through 4. My graph is a little off, so I'm just going to move the arrow over here. And now it connects nicely. And there's our graph. Now some people ask, like, how far down do you dip right here or here? Right now, we don't really have the tools to calculate that. So as long as you just estimate it, like in your head, what's appropriate. So notice how I just went a little down and a little down here. If you went like more of like a W shape, like made it even, that would be fine. At this point, as long as you have the general shape of what this looks like, that's perfectly fine for our class. Okay, so that's it. So bring your questions if you have any, and then we'll do some practice problems on this.